Hey, what's up, my YouTube friends? This is Richard, founder of Short Term Rental University and Airbnb Superhost, and today I'm coming to you live from Harbor Island in the Bahamas. This place is spectacular, and I apologize, it's a little bit windy, otherwise I'd be showing you like the beach and all that, but we've got some B-roll. But I wanted to film this video because it was kind of a first for me. You see, we've got this great Facebook group, Short Term Rental University. If you haven't checked us out, check us out on Facebook. We've got 12,500 members, and we're all optimistic and entrepreneurial and great advice and insight and optimism and what do I do and how do I do it, and that way you don't feel alone, right? Like, we've got this great community, and I wanted to film this video because I answer some of these questions. Not all of them, but people email me. If you haven't subscribed to the email, please do. It's over at www.str.university. They go out on Sundays, and so people respond to emails, and people instant message me and Instagram direct message, and where there's something I can do to help and add value, I do. And in this particular case, I wanted to share it with everybody because this question was bigger than just this one person, and I wanted to film it. Turns out that she has a lot of equity in her house in New Orleans. She's purchased something, she fixed it up, it's now on Airbnb, it's really gorgeous. She has a real knack for the design and the development of it and the creativity, and she liked it so much that she wants to do it again. She's having a lot of success. And so she asked me, hey Richard, how do I get some of my equity out? I have too much equity. I didn't know about Short-Term Rental University when I purchased this first home, and so I didn't have the opportunity to ask a question, and now it's a great resource and I can ask it there, but I wanted to ask you personally. And so she said, how do I get some of my equity out so that I can scale and buy a second property, maybe even a third property? She had something like 70% equity and 30% in the mortgage, which for a business is too little. It might help you sleep at night for your own home, and that's a different story. But if you're trying to grow your business, you should have maybe 30% equity and 70% mortgage. That's sort of the leverage model that allows you to grow and take your equity and buy a second place and a third place. And so she wanted to know how to get some of that cash out. And I gave her two thoughts, and then stay tuned for the third thing because it's really the most important. The how to get the money out isn't the point of this message. So don't bounce, check it out. First thing I advocate, and I've done this on many other videos in the past, is go get a home equity line of credit. Every Airbnb host should have a home equity line of credit, and the time to get a home equity line of credit is when you don't need it, when you don't have that emergency repair, and you should have that, like, in case of a rainy day fund, in case the roof blows off or the HVAC blows up or the floor gets damaged. You need to have access to capital, and so home equity line of credit is sort of a homeowner's insurance policy that if something goes wrong, you can fix it and you can continue to run your business. And you don't want to do that after the roof caved in or the HVAC blew up or something bad happened. You never want to apply for credit during times of need, when you lose your job, when your income has been reduced. You always want to go apply for credit during times of strength, when you have a great job, when your income is great on Airbnb, when the roof is intact. That's when you go get a home equity line of credit. Now, the home equity line of credit process is relatively straightforward. It doesn't take a ton of time, and it's not very expensive. There are no ongoing fees if you don't draw it down. So you can just leave it there, and let's say you have a $100,000 line of credit or $200,000 line of credit, as in this person's case. It may cost you $500 a year just to keep the line of credit open, but if you don't draw it down, there's no additional cost. And then when you do draw it down, then you pay monthly a mortgage rate, and it tends to be a floating interest rate. So it's not great for like a long-term solution, but it's great for those emergency repairs, or it's great to put down as a down payment if you're going to buy a second home, and then you can refinance it. Which brings me to my second approach for her, was to go ahead and refinance it. More costly, right? There's all sorts of fees involved. It's more time consuming. There's a lot more paperwork. You have to put together a bigger package, if you will, but it's really worthwhile because if you do it well, you can get today relatively low interest rates. The Fed started hiking rates, and then they just announced that they paused. So interest rates and mortgage rates have come down again. It's a really good time to refinance. And the nice thing about refinancing is you can get a 10, 20, or 30-year fixed mortgage, depending on your time horizon for this property. So those are the two options that I gave her tactically to solve her need. I want to grow, I want to scale, I want to take some of this money out, and I want to reinvest and buy a second property. And her why is, not only does she love hosting and the income that's generating, she really likes to find the property and fix it up and then design and decorate it, and she does a great job. So, like, kudos to her. But here's the thing. I said, well, where would you buy that second property? And she said, well, right here in New Orleans. There's a small area. I think prices are going to appreciate. I'm here. It's convenient. I know the area. All of those reasons that we all sort of gravitate towards. But what I encouraged her to do, and the point of this message more than the financing is, that makes no sense to me, right? Like, I approach life from a risk management perspective. I was a hedge fund manager, and I always look at the downside before I look at the upside. I have to get comfortable with the downside and make sure that I can run my business for a significant period of time to justify the equity being tied up in there. Now, here's the thing about New Orleans. I love it like as much as the next guy. It's a great place to live and have legal short-term rentals. There's a ton of tourists that go down there. But it's also a known flood zone. One doesn't have to look past Katrina and hurricanes before that to know that, like, there really shouldn't be homes built in coming to you live. There really shouldn't be homes built in New Orleans. Those dams keep the water out. And those dams do flood. They break, right? Look at Hurricane Katrina. Now, what Lee said was, well, my home didn't flood during Katrina. Okay, well, the next hurricane has nothing to do with Katrina. Your home could flood, and your neighbors across the street that did flood may not flood. So take no comfort in what happened in the past. Every storm is different. And so if we know that, why would we replicate? Why would we double down on that risk? If we only have 2 properties, why would we take both properties and put them in the exact same risk? Think of the worst case scenario. Another storm, and this time your place does flood, and now both of your places flood, and now you're out of business for 12 months, 24 months, 4 years. You may never recover. You may take that money when the insurance pays and do something else with it. That's not really a sustainable business now, is it? So from my perspective, what I encouraged Lee to do was find another place. Have one place in New Orleans which you love and is cash flowing and is great, refinance it or take a home equity line of credit, buy a second place, pick a different place that doesn't have that same risk. It'll have other risks, but they're different, right? So pick a place in Texas, pick a place in Florida, pick a place in Alaska, pick a place in Harbor Island. It doesn't matter as long as you're connected to it. It generates the creativity that she desires, and it generates the cash flow that her business demands. And if you do that, now you have a diversified portfolio. Granted, it's only 2 properties, but you'll build enough equity, you'll get a home equity line of credit, or you'll refinance on that second property, and you'll get a third property and a fourth. But I want people to get comfortable with the concept of it doesn't have to be in the same backyard. In fact, that's foolish. Building too much in the same exact area, especially when we know that it's a flood-prone area and it can like wipe you out, I would never do that. Have one there, it's great. Take the second one and diversify, like 100% somewhere else, so that you get comfortable with being an entrepreneur, having to go find a remote team, training a remote team, managing these properties remotely. Once you do it once, then your eyes open and you say, I can do this a second time and a third time, and it becomes much easier. But that fear that we have to overcome, you got to do it. And I would encourage her, especially since she's in New Orleans, to get started like immediately. So I hope you found this video helpful, and here are the key takeaways. Join the Facebook group, Short Term Rental University. Join our email list, ask me questions, www.str.university. And then always have a home equity line of credit. 2, if you refinance to grow, make sure that when you get that second or third or fourth property, you're diversifying your risks, you're increasing your profitability, you're decreasing your risks. That's a winning business combination. So start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? Like, I understand it's a stretch to now manage remotely, and I'm going to film a video on it, but I have properties in half a dozen places and no 2 properties that are in the same place. So if I can do it, you can do it too. And then the third thing that I really want to encourage you is to please like the video if you found this helpful. You see, you found Short Term Rental University YouTube channel somehow, probably because something was served to you or you were searching for it. All these likes and the subscribes and the comments help YouTube serve this video and this content up to other emerging hosts or wannabe hosts or hosts that are growing. So if you find value in this, chances are others do too. And you can do your little role by helping me, help you, and help others by liking the video, by commenting with questions or comments. Where have you diversified? Have you done a home equity line of credit? Did you refinance? What rates did you get? It doesn't matter what your comments are, as long as they're adding value to the community. And then the third thing I really encourage you to do if you found this video helpful is to subscribe, because you want to know when our videos come out. There's a ton more content coming out. I really appreciate your time and your attention. So thank you very much. Have a great day.